Hey everybody, welcome to the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, episode 378, Sonic Boom! My name's Matthew Turner, alongside Ashley Soden. How you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good. Obviously, was already tired, but then us going to overtime, extra bit of football just absolutely wore me out, as it probably will wear the players out late. We'll probably have a walkthrough for this week because obviously we're back again on Thursday, so that's fun. But you know, could be worse. It could be a lot worse. You could be a nine right now, who obviously had a really bad performance and now is in concussion protocol. So UDFA Max Brusma might be the starting QB for the Vikings this week.
It's an upgrade right now,
Yeah,
but there we go.
definitely.
We'll talk about that a bit more in just a second. Just at the top of the show, because it's going to be a packed week with it being Thanksgiving week, I'm going to tell you what we are doing for our plans for the rest of the week. So we're going to be doing our Packers preview tomorrow, same time, so 2:30 Eastern. Hopefully we'll see you guys for that. That's going to be a bit of a grind to try and come up to speed, but I'm away Wednesday, so I can't stream then. And unfortunately, I'm also away Thursday, so no live stream on my behalf. Whether Ant is available and whether Ash you're free, I don't know. But if there is one running, it's not going to be on my account. And then there will be a recap show probably Friday. Although that does mean that I'm going to have to watch the game somehow before then. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but hey. Anyway, those are the shows coming up for this week. So Monday, Tuesday, Friday expected on the main podcast, and of course the college show coming at you on Wednesday. So 4 working days out of 5. It is always busy. Thanksgiving week. Hope you have a great Thursday for Thanksgiving wherever you are. Let's get into this episode, and it is the New York Giants' victory just about in Detroit. But first, please do join our Discord channel, as a couple of people have just done from the live show. The link is in the live chat right now. You also have a link if you're listening to the audio podcast too. We'd love to see you in there. College football podcast, as I mentioned, coming up on Wednesday, and a lot is going on in college football now. We are heading into week 14 next week, which is the last week of the regular season. The conference championships will follow before the bowl games and playoffs begin. So we're right at the back end. And of course, as we are at this time, coaches are getting fired. I think Cal got rid of their guy today. We know that Lane Kiffin is going to announce his future on Saturday as to whether he stays at Ole Miss or whether he moves on to someone else like LSU, which I think is probably the most likely at the moment, but I'm sure the boys will talk about it. And of course, they will be building up to the game, Ohio State, Michigan, as well, happening this coming Saturday. So never a better time to listen to the college show, as of course they are now building up to the end of the college season and the draft as well. Please do like this episode and sub to the podcast. It really does help us out in terms of spreading the word, and honestly that's the most important thing to us, apart from just enjoying ourselves on the show, is that on a very low level we're just kind of getting to as many people as we can. So if you can do your bit on that, that's all we ask. Alright, news. And a lot happened, Ash, since we were last on a podcast, which included the return from injured reserve of both cornerbacks DJ Reed and Khalil Dorsey, the corresponding moves. We released the linebacker Ty Summers and defensive back Eric Hallett. I am expecting both to kind of come back to the practice squad, if I'm frank. We'll see. And elevated for this game was the tight end Anthony Ferkser, which of course was expected given that Sam Laporta is now done for the season. In terms of injuries and people inactive for this game, well, 6 did not go. And that includes 2 guys out through injury, and Terry and Arnold, the corner, and safety Kirby Joseph. And then 4 guys who obviously just had to be made inactive for the game. That includes running back Craig Reynolds, who looks like he's very much wrapping at RB4 these days, which is not good for his long-term on the roster because, well, he's not contributing much on special teams. So if he's not going to be your running back 3, I think he might be done. And we'll see if any corresponding move is made potentially. But Craig being inactive is not good for his future with us. Also not making it defensive lineman Mekhi Wingo and Quinton Jefferson. And the cornerback Nick Whiteside. And then injured for this game, wide receiver. Oh my God. Wide receiver and returner Khalif Raymond suffered an ankle injury during the game. was questionable, but then was downgraded to out shortly afterwards. Looked in a lot of pain on the sideline. We were expecting to find out his status this evening, but probably after we've finished talking to you guys. Maybe during, maybe we'll see. But otherwise, as we return tomorrow, we'll update you guys on what was talked about at the presser, no matter what. And then, of course, centre and guard, Glasgow and Ratledge collided with each other on a screen. That was when Glasgow was actually flagged for being a legal man downfield, which wiped out a really nice game for the Lions. Looks to be in a lot of pain, although they were both still in the game. And then Amon St Brown looks to be continuing to suffer with the wrist injury that he has been carrying for some weeks. There were some photos that came out last week showing that his hand is about double the size that it should be, and he had several uncharacteristic drops. 2, I think, was the popular count. Worth mentioning, PFF hasn't graded him with a drop yesterday, which I think is generous. Anyway, Ash, lots to go through there, and I think maybe the most important thing, apart from Khalif potentially, I don't know, I don't want to speculate too much, but potentially being done for the year, getting Reed back is huge.
Yeah, it really is, because it upgrades that cornerback room a lot. I know obviously we've had the Legion of Whom who did step up against the Bucks, but there have been some recent struggles, though I do argue that Rocky Sin in a sort of starting role has been pretty damn good the past couple of weeks. But it just gives us a higher ceiling there, especially with Arnold still out with his concussion. Just gives us that bit more depth. And then Dorsey, again, someone you can trust as a depth cornerback player. He has played defensive snaps for us before and looks okay. So having him back, obviously the big impact he has is on special teams as his role as a gunner and on the kick coverage teams and such. So having him back is really good as well. But yeah, losing Leaf as much as our return game hasn't been that good, especially on punt returns. It's been a lot of fair catching and side to side running from him rather than north south running. But the downgrade from him to whoever it may be it Tom Kennedy, Dominic Lovett, etc., it's going to be noticeable. And he has had a role in the offense the past couple of weeks ever since Dan took over play calling. But as a motion man, us playing a lot more 11 personnel, but that's also probably because Sam's been injured for at least 2 of those games. But again, downgrade from him to whoever it may be. More snaps for Tesla, who seemingly doesn't have the trust of Goff yet, or Dominic Lovett, Tom Kennedy, Jackson Meeks. That's going to be the big one. That's going to be the big miss if he is out for a significant while, which does look possible considering he was quickly ruled both questionable and then straight out. Like, it looks like it's going to be at least an ankle sprain, which will mean a couple of weeks. But we've also seen those go on for a while, and yeah, he could be done until at least late in the playoffs, if not the whole season.
I'm looking forward to Tesla being forced into more action. If he's repping with the ones because they're expecting him to see significant reps, that may just help his development. I am hoping he's going to be repping ahead of Lovett. I don't expect a practice squad member to rep ahead of him, even though Kennedy kind of makes sense. But we can talk more about that tomorrow, I guess. Let's go on to talk about the game. The Lions ran out 34-27 winners in overtime. It was a rough old game with the Lions not leading until overtime. Goff was 28-42 for 279, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Lost 22 yards on 3 sacks as well. Rushing the ball, Gibbs had a career day. First man to break 50 fantasy points, quite famously in this game, in the entire season in the NFL. He had 15 carries for 219 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, and then 11 receptions on 12 targets for 45 yards and a touchdown through the air, making 264 all-purpose yards. Receiving game, we were led by Amon St Brown, who had an incredible day statistically, 9 of 13 for 149 and a touchdown. And frankly, I think that people, we can talk about Amon in full in a bit, but I think people will overweight the fact that he maybe caused the interception and will overlook how good he was down the stretch, because he became the outlet in the second half and really allowed us to move the ball for a good part of this game. You know, no one else received the ball more than 3 times apart from him and Gibbs in the receiving game, and we couldn't move the ball otherwise. So without him, we don't win it as much as that interception was pretty ugly. Anyway, statistically, moving on to the Giants offense, Winston 18 of 36 for 366, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Also, Gunnar Olszewski with 1 of 1 for 33 and a touchdown on the trick play. Their running game was kind of shut down all day. Tracy had 20 for 62 yards, Singletary 14 for 48. Wandale Robinson had 1 for 0. Winston himself had a long of 11, but then was 3 for 2 otherwise. So the Lions did very, very well shutting them down. Even with the quarterback included, they're about 3 yards a carry. Receiving wise, though, they did a lot of damage. Wandale Robinson, 9 of 14 for 156 and a touchdown. Other touchdowns by Isaiah Hodgins, 2 of 6 for 42 and a touchdown. Maybe one of the more beautiful catches you'll see in the NFL, where he managed to get the second leg in as well as the knee, but nice throw, nice catch, can't beat that. And then, of course, Winston on the trick play, 1 of 1 for 33 and a touchdown, his first reception in the NFL. They did have a fumble, but they did not lose it. Wandale Robinson, it went out on the sideline, forced by, I believe it was Amik Robertson. And then in defense, Jack Campbell led the team in tackles with 11. There was 1 sack by Aiden Hutchinson with the crucial last play, and 3 other TFLs, 1 by Campbell, 1 by Lopez, and 1 by Hutchinson. And then looking at the Giants, they were led in tackles by Dane Belton with 9. They had 3 sacks, 2 by Darius Alexander, of all people, who's had a fairly poor year, and 1 by Raheem Nunez-Roches. And then there were 3 other TFLs, 1 by Belton, 1 by Barnes, and 1 by Drew Phillips. There was an interception by each team, 1 by Thomas Harper and 1 by Javon Holland. Otherwise, really good work by the Lions kick return team, having longs with Cleve Raymond of 44 and Jacob Sayers of 34 and a 6 for 183 outing. Very, very strong. 30.5 yards of return average. For the Giants, they had 5 for 122. That's good for just under 5. So, for just under 25 yards of return instead of 30.5. So you can see, an extra 5 yards in each average return is pretty significant. Otherwise, the kickers were perfect on the day. Young Ho Koo, 2 of 2 on field goals, 3 of 3 on extra points. Bates, 2 of 2 on field goals, 4 of 4 on extra points. And then punting wise, Gillen had 2 good punts and 1 absolute shank. He was 3 for 120 overall. Jack Fox was one of the stars of the game with his 5 for a flat 200, including no touchbacks and 4 downed within the 20, 3 downed within the 10. Ash, there was a lot of offense in this game overall. Combined, they went for over 1,000 yards. It was, in the end, 1,011 yards of total offense. It didn't feel like a shootout while we were in it, and indeed the scores would not suggest a shootout of that sort of, level. But, the teams went at each other, and it was a really exciting game for a neutral. Unfortunately, we ain't neutral.
Exactly. Like, it was such a weird game to watch. Like, it feels like the defense played better than giving up 27 points, but they did. And it feels like the offense played worse than putting up 34, but they did. Like, I think I said it to you yesterday. It felt like every other play that the Giants had that was successful was an explosive play. And it was just tiny little things. Like, for some reason, we just weren't able to cover Wandale Robinson running corner outs. Like, quite a lot of his catches were to stem, just get in between the gaps between the corners and the safeties when we were playing cover 2 and all that. The Winston catch, because obviously, as you say, first ever catch in the NFL, we did not respect them running that trick play on us, and it worked on us. We didn't. The defensive line respected their first trick play, the double pass. They respected it, but the safeties and corners didn't. They crept up because thought it was run, and suddenly they're behind and they score. And then the offense was just not firing. Though there's obviously a stat that we converted all of our third and manageables for the first time in what feels like this season. There were times where we'd run plays and it just, what are we doing? So the ones that we kept both called out, but you especially, we're running successfully, so let's just suddenly start passing to the flats and doing screens. It was just a confusing day overall. Like, Goff probably was about right where his stats are. Like, he had some really good plays, he had some really dumb plays. So pretty much one of Darius Alexander's sacks, he pretty much ran into it. The other one was just a clean win against Seeker. It wasn't the best, but he wasn't the worst. Gibbs was obviously a monster, but obviously having 2 explosive plays really pumps up his numbers, but he still had a pretty good day. Monty was disappointing, to be honest. Like, I know he only got 5 carries, where Gibbs got 15, but 3.6 yards average with a line of long of 9 means the other 4 went for 9 yards. That's not good. And they had us found out, especially on their defense. If we weren't targeting Amon-Ra or Gibbs, we weren't going to get much. Like, Khalif had one really good play to set us up on our drive to tie it up, but Brock was barely used after the first drive. Monty was targeted a couple times on screens, but that's it. And then JMO didn't catch any of his 3 targets, and Tesla was targeted once when he had to come in for Khalif on offense, and it was too far away for him. I know he's got a big catch radius, but we just weren't firing on offense, and the defense did what they could. But when they get a couple of explosives and there's one player who goes for 150 on you, when frankly he's not been a good receiver in his years so far in the NFL, it is a bit of a cause for concern.
Yeah. Like I normally do with a loss, I'm not going to go through the drive summary because it doesn't feel like a win. And I think really we talked about this game in the preview, saying that with a win, it's expected and we learn nothing. And with a loss, we learn a lot and there are some more questions raised. Well, there are a lot more questions raised. So in some ways, there's a 1 in the win column, but there's a lot of soul searching to do. So it feels more appropriate to really kind of step back and talk about some of the key plays, some themes, some things to maybe sort out or think about, rather than going through the minutiae of what happened in the game. And the first thing I want to mention, and it feels like we're regressing back to the Patricia era here when I say this. I want to complain about the refs, specifically about protection of the quarterback. Goff got hit in the head twice. One on a play, which you should see because eyes should be on the player making the pass rush, hitting the quarterback in the head. But the other one was after the play was over, and I think it was Roches who did his celebration where he was kind of stamping around, managing to kick Goff. I'm not willing to say it wasn't deliberate. Straight in the side of the head. It was impactful. You could see his head move on the impact. Frankly, I'm stunned that Goff didn't feel any sort of lasting effects. But even if it was accidental, I mean, my word, throw a flag. I mean, you see quarterbacks, and we've suffered with this, have flags thrown for unnecessary roughness when they get laid out a pillow for a sack, but you still have full body weight on them, thinking about Jack Campbell earlier this season or Tracy Walker in years gone by. I don't understand how... So I've always been a proponent of, well, we get some bad calls, but other teams get bad calls. As long as we all get bad calls, at least it's equal. It does feel like we're getting the thin end of the wedge when it comes to the referees. And it wasn't just those decisions, but those are the 2 egregious misses.
I'll add the third on the DPI called on Rockison.
Yes,
like
especially
a load of people. Yeah, loads of people pointing out that it was hand fighting. That happens on pretty much every play. It seems while he's in the starting lineup, because he's got a couple from him now, he's getting the TA treatments where, it looks kind of like we're going to throw the flag. But there were similar instances where Giants defenders were doing that to us, and nope, no flag at all.
If they want to call it tight, if they want to be like heavy-handed on it, that's fine. But do it evenly.
Do it, yeah, exactly. And then there's all this. I know we'll probably come on to it a bit, but watching at least some of the game back while I've been, half asleep most of the day, I don't know. It's a constant issue. It's always one we call out, but because it does point out to something that we're probably going to discuss later. But I know we've got a load of QB pressures and that. But a lot of the reason they didn't turn to sacks is because their offensive line was a bit holdy. So I mentioned the Jameis pass earlier. One of the reasons he manages to get so much separation in that is that I think it was Andrew Thomas who was up against Barnes in that play. did hold him for half a second too long, so there was a bit more separation for Winston than would have been if it was a clean sort of let go when he's supposed to.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe it's us highlighting as well because obviously, as a load of people points out before the game, this was the same referee we had in Kansas City. So while we've definitely got a sort of sour taste in our mouth for him already, and as I did joke a couple of times, yeah, he's not leaving Detroit alive because this is 2 big games he's kind of ref for us now, and there's been some bad decisions. Maybe it's also the other way around where it's like, well, I tried my best in the first game and you go like this, so I'm just fuck you guys. I'm going to have this thing, which you should not do as a ref. It's another column in the...
I don't even think that's the thing, though. Like, at the end of the day, that the head referee is not making the calls which are bad. More often than not, he's not throwing the flag. It's sideline judges, it's the back judges who throw these flags and are getting it wrong, pretty often. And at some point, I don't blame the head referees. They're just the face of the shit that's going on. We need accountability. We need to start getting this right. I don't want to have to review every play. The game is slow enough as it is. The game is long enough as it is. The fact that you can have quick replay assist to assist you with factual things is great. And I think that has actually massively benefited the game. Because instead of having to throw a challenge flag to get every little thing right, you can have a little whisper in your ear from the sideline. This is how it is. Fine. You trust the sideline judges to get things right. Why not trust the ref that has a bloody TV camera next to him? I mean, if you can make the decision within 15 seconds of getting instant replay, I don't even think it should be the full 40 seconds before the next play is run. I think that you should get a really short window to make a correction, but instant replay is pretty bloody instant. If you can get the overturn in before the headset turns off for the next offensive play with 15 seconds to go, you change your play. And if you don't get it in, that's up to you, but then you get hammered for it as a referee. You can get it right. Yeah. Change your rules and get it right. Quickly, Chocobo Brisket Bowl on Twitch says, I would think quarterbacks need to be protected more than the goalposts. In reference to JMO celebration.
Yeah.
And I very much agree with that too. Right. Moving on from the refs, because we could fill an entire show with grievances there. You mentioned about defensive issues, and they were mostly across the board. The major plus was run defense, as I kind of highlighted. They kept trying it, as we highlighted in the preview. They hammered us with the run. They run it 39 times to 19 receptions. Now, I did have 39 attempted passes. They didn't catch a lot of them. But in terms of run-pass split, they were very much in favour of the run, which is uncommon in this league. We know it's a passing league. It's normally about 40-60 run pass. They were 51-49 run pass, with much more success in terms of they actually got positive yardage, whereas, only 50% completion is not exactly great from Jameis. But the run defense really, really held up. But pressure was difficult to come by. Yes, they were a bit holdy, but you do expect a little bit more from this team in terms of... I won't say there weren't pressures. I'll say effective pass rush, which is affecting plays, which is meant to be the definition of the pressure, but I don't think it really works out that way in reality. Coverage really suffered, and I think you've got to look at people like DJ Reed and just say maybe he's a bit rusty. But if you have a look at the safeties, both Branch and Thomas, I think, kind of struggled a little bit. Thomas had a really nice pass breakup on a third down, which really, made a big difference. But otherwise, the secondary at large just had a kind of really tough day.
Yeah, they really did. I agree that Reed did look a bit... He's getting back up to speed, obviously coming off a soft tissue injury, maybe that is to be expected. And it did seem he was on a pitch count because he was only played 31 snaps when players like Rocky Sin and Amik, who played 70... Well, Rock played 70, Meek played 79. So they did have him in a pitch count. So maybe it's also just he didn't really have... It's kind of the issue we've been saying with Monty, where because he's not getting many snaps, he's not in the flow of the game. But you expect better from someone supposed to be a cornerback one, and we need him to hopefully be better for Thursday. So hopefully he's back up to speed there. Harper, I know we had the interception, which was really damn good. But it seems his sort of pluses in the game were in that run defense. There were some, obviously, I think it was him and Amiku were the closest defenders on the flea flicker slash double pass trick play that got their first touchdown, but they were not close at all. They crept forward for the run and allowed them to get behind. Amik, he had good plays. He had bad plays as our cornerback one. Technically, in this game, you'd expect better from him, but yeah, it was rough. Branch, while he was definitely impactful, again, it was most impactful in the pass rush and run defense side of things. He wasn't too good in the coverage, especially since, as I pointed out, I think it was early in the game, and I believe we did make the adjustment in the second half, but in the first half, we did play a lot of that cover one stuff that I warned us against because they're actually better against those single high looks than they are too high. He was rotating down into the box post snap, and it did mean that he was kind of at fault for some of these crossing patterns that the Giants were doing, especially with Theo Johnson and Dylan Bellinger. They did get a good couple of catches on those. So it was a rough day for the secondary in the pass, but the defensive line and the front seven general good in run defense. Pass was a bit lacking. Like, it's a bit bad when their right tackle saying, "Well, this player who had the game-winning play didn't do too much," and you have to half agree with him because I know he did set a franchise record for most consecutive games with at least I think it's at least 4 QB hits. He wasn't too effective in the pass rush game. Like, yeah, he hit Winston a couple of times, but most of the time it was after Winston got the ball out or he wasn't really effective in the play. He did look better in run defense because that has been his issue the past couple of weeks in run contain. But
I completely agree. That has been massively lacking this season. So Hutchinson doing better in run defense is a big boon.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree. It was a rough game, though. We still got the win, and there were really good plays. Like they only had a 38.3 run success rate. Well, just success rate in general, which is 22nd percentile. But they also had a 91st percentile explosive play rate with 16. So as I kind of alluded to earlier, if they had a play that was successful, every other one of those, pretty much on average, was an explosive play. That needs to come down.
And the Brit with grit is here, Anthony Fitzpatrick. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm very good. I wasn't going to miss an opportunity to stop by. I'm getting more wins on my resume than Florida State special teams turnovers. This is double victory Monday for the boy here. So, yeah, of course I was going to stop by.
This is 24 hours of torment here. I love it.
It's going to be years of torment. Screw that. It's 6 years since they last beat us. This is just going to keep going. So, at least he's got a Lions win under the belt. So, sacrifice one for the good of the other. I get both. Even better.
And we're going through some themes here. We've just talked about Goff hitting hit to the head. I know you were especially strong on that on Twitter when you were tweeting about stuff. But just in general about this game, you said in the preview that you wouldn't miss the opportunity to have some strong words about this team had they lost. And man, we came bloody close.
I mean, I think we were pretty bob on with what we said about them. They weren't a 2-9 team in the way that they're playing. They're very much a team that's at the beginning of a build with a lot of young players on it that's looking to impress people. And we saw what they did against the Packers. They were looking to impress, and they came into our gaff and they gave us one of the toughest games we've played all season. So we saw exactly what I thought we were going to get from them. I was very impressed with them. And good for us that they're in the situation they're in, because they chose to be uber aggressive at the end, because really results don't matter for them, which worked to our benefit when all was said and done. But all the ways that we thought they could hurt us, they did hurt us. Which got to be a little concerning. But the fact that you're able to still come back and win it is a big positive going forward. A win is a win. You'll take them any way you can get them. And thankfully, the one thing that always rang true with this game was the Giants were always going to giant. They're a team who don't know how to win football games at the minute. Like we were once upon a time. You can find every which way possible to lose them, and thankfully they did. But yeah, there was good and bad in this, but ultimately, at the end of the day, the W is what matters more than anything.
All right, other themes we've got here. I mean, Ash, you alluded to it earlier, so I'll go to Ant for this one. Trick plays killing us, and you talked about the Giants kind of feeling like us a bit historically. It very much looked like the Lions of 2021, where they were doing trick plays here, there, and everywhere. No fake punts for the Giants, but the 2 trick plays they did run ended up in touchdowns. The Wandale touchdown, which Ali McNeil was so close to blowing up, and then the throw by Olszewski to Jameis, where Anzalone almost blew it up. And then I know that Derek Barnes is going to get a lot of hate for the fact he couldn't bring Winston down. But the fact that Barnes is meant to be the pass rusher on that play, gets blown up by Thomas, and then has the witherall to recognise that Winston is leaking out and actually tries to get back in coverage. It's a positive and a negative, because the intelligence to actually read that play is strong. The ability to finish that play is weak. I think we could have seen those plays coming. I question whether we were particularly prepared for this one.
I mean, they did what we expected them to do. I thought they were very good in this game. You know, you've got to throw in some of these trick shots every now and then to keep you interested, to keep showing the defense a different looks. And our defense couldn't settle, but primarily due to the whole stuff where we allowed them to run the football. And, it wasn't necessarily sexily running the football all the time. It was Tyrone Tracy and Singleton getting those 3-4 yards consistently again and again and again. Puts you in short yardage situations, opens the playbook for them. We try and get bold like the Packers did. You send blitzers against the quarterback, and they just leak Tyrone Tracy out, and they burn you for big chunks. We said this in if he leaks out the backfield, send some fucker with him, because he's going to get a chunk on you. And we started falling into that trap because we couldn't stop the run necessarily so well. We got a little bit aggressive, and then they kept hitting us, and then we had to fall back again, and then they could run the ball a little bit more. And every time it did seem we were getting on top of them a little bit, they throw in a trick play just to get us off balance and to send us back even further. Because those trick plays, your secondary is a little bit more mindful about taking those few steps up because they're worried about what's going on behind them. So I thought it was beautiful, just offensive play calling from them, which didn't allow the defense to settle. I'm not sure it's necessarily the defense's fault in anticipating it, because the game was following a theme, and they were trying to stop them the way they were. Again, it did remind me of what we used to do, and it's exciting in a way, and it's quite fun. But every team's going to give you the kitchen sink now. They did, but again, ultimately, you're able to win it because the defense is just not clutch yet. Thank God for that. But no, I just think the defense got out-coached on the day. But that's not happened to Kelvin so far. It's his first year as a defensive coordinator, and sometimes you get got by someone who has a better plan on the day, which they did. But I have zero worries about him or the defense whatsoever, really, in the mainstream.
Ash, do you agree?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, well, kind of mentioned and you mentioned it, Liam was close to blowing up that first one because the defensive line recognised it and did their thing, but the secondary, because they got ultra aggressive, they bit on the sort of play fake of it, and it gave them space. And then the Jameis one just was a great play call at the right time. But it's true. Everyone said it coming into this game that yes, the Giants aren't exactly great, but that's the one thing they do is they consistently get those 3-4 yard chunks, and that's how they nearly beat the Packers the week before. Is they consistently just stuck with the run, because then you would pay off. It does things to defenses where they have to respect it, and it does open up those shots for what used to be Dart and now Jameis, and it worked. Like, we usually have a go at teams for having a low pass rate over expectation. Theirs was 23rd percentile in this game, minus 7.3%, because they knew that if they stuck with the run, it would work. And they took it with it situations where the analytics say don't stick with it, and it nearly won them the game, because the only time they really passed the ball when they shouldn't have done was on those last where people then calling them out saying, "Oh yeah, you shouldn't have passed in this situation where it gave us a chance to get the game time field goal." Other than that, they just ran the ball because they knew, they were running their heads against a brick wall, but it would open stuff up for them. So I don't fully blame the defense, but at the same time, the secondary's got to do better on some of them. I think the trick plays, because they definitely gave up the first one. The second one, it's a bit harder, but still, you had to have someone tracking Winston if he's doing that, because you've got to be aware of those trick plays. We've done it in ourselves. With Goff, the pass that Amavra threw to him last year was, again, a pretty similar play, but in about a tenth of the field space. You still got to respect it because they're a scrappy team. They're fighting for their interim head coach's job. They're fighting for their own jobs because no one wants to go down as a team that gave up. They don't want to be seeing that on their resume and think teams then won't sign them because a lot of them, there's going to be a new regime. It might be Kafka who gets it. I do think he should personally, but there's going to be changes and they don't want to be left by the wayside.
Moving on to the next one, and I want to talk about Jared Goff for a little bit because statistically he's continuing to have a good season. We talked last week about the fact that the stats may well be lying to us. There was a comment 2 or 3 weeks ago where a media member asked Dan Campbell whether he thought Jared Goff was playing the best football of his Lions career, which seemed totally out of kilter with the eye test. He comes in for this game, and I'm not going to bias your answers. And how do you think he did?
I mean, overall, I certainly wasn't as concerned as I was last week. There was some boneheaded stuff. The intentional grounding crap in the end zone was stupid from him. Run it in the end zone, you moron. You got like 3 yards to go. You can put yourself in there. You got 170-pound DB in front of you. That's just stupid. He needs to trust his legs a bit more often, especially in those short yardage situations. It was terrible, but I think overall it was better. And, you're down in a hole at home by 10 points. You keep leading scoring drives. I know Jameer does a lot of the work in there, but, later in the game he was more accurate with his throws. The crisp, clean for the most part. There's a lot of drops at the minute. The interception's absolutely nothing on him. It's a useless play by Amon-Ra, which is, gives away that. I think it's a good pass. But yeah, I don't know. It just feels like you're going through a flat period with him at the moment. But, we're at that part of the season. We're in the middle of the season. This is not the part where you start making the clutch season-defining plays yet. I'm not sure how terminal it is with him. But I thought he was better. And again, did what he needed to get us back in the game. Yeah, it was better than last week, let's put it that way. Hopefully it keeps getting a little better week on week.
How do you feel we did?
It's hard because he definitely had some good plays, but yet then the intentional ground one, some of the passes were just errant as fuck. And he did run himself into the couple of sacks. Obviously, there was the one went to one of the ones against Everest Alexander and the one against Nunes and the one that got himself kicked in the head in the celebration. He ran himself into those. There's only one sack that was given up that wasn't on him, and that's just the clean win that Alexander had against Shawasika. So while he wasn't the best, he wasn't the best QB of the week. Definitely wasn't the worst. But there's little things there that just seemed off, as say the errant passes. I think there was one I think it was Amon-Ra across the middle where he just threw it right behind him. It just came out weird. There was the throw to Tesla down the sideline where it was a good couple of feet wide of him. But at the same time, when we needed him to deliver, he did, and he was let down by a couple of drops by the receivers again. And maybe the play calling, because we did make it easier for them to key in on, because if we weren't targeted, they knew we were going to target Amon-Ra Gibbs 95% of the time. Obviously, that's hyperbole, but you know what I mean? Like, then we've gone from spreading the ball around pretty nicely, getting everyone involved to suddenly, if it's not there for Amon-Ra, check it down to the running back, and teams can key in on that.
I've just watched the intentional grounding back. It is so bad. I didn't even realise how bad it was live. All three receivers are to the right of him. And he throws it straight and over to the left-hand side. I'm not even going to go as far as out and say you should trust his legs and kind of put the hammer down and go into the end zone, because I think there's a couple of people in front of him where maybe I can see why he might doubt himself. But just slide. Just slide and go down. Like, you literally lost the down and the 10-yard penalty because you threw the ball away in the pocket under pressure. Like, if you don't want to take the hit, slide and live another down. Like, you put the touchdown at risk. And I mean, the fact that we actually ended up scoring after that is incredible. That felt like a big moment in the game, mind you. That screen to Amon-Ra that paid off. But hey, was that the screen to Amon-Ra actually afterwards? Yes, it was.
Yeah.
From 11 yards out. That felt very, very fortunate. But overall, early on, I was worried that the Goff of the last few games was going to show up again because I thought there were a couple of wayward passes in there. I do think the Amon-Ra drop is close enough to Amon-Ra that you could think he could catch it, but it's close enough to him that he thinks he should go for it as well, and not in a good way. Like, I think that play often ends badly because it's not quite as close to Amon-Ra as you would like, and especially with how Amon-Ra is doing with his hand at the moment, which is clearly not well. I don't know, the accuracy maybe wasn't quite as on point as you would like. I think Amon-Ra should try and be a little bit more within himself. If he's struggling with that hand, if it's outside of your reach, like, swat it. Try and hit it down, not hit it bloody up. There's a couple of instances where Amon-Ra put the ball in the air, and I think 2 went down and 1 went to hand, and that was really, really poor. But otherwise, I thought Goff looked in rhythm. I thought he was making really good decisions, and the plays that went against him or against the offense, I think, were bad play calling. And to pivot to the play calling, do you think that offensive play calling is continuing to be an issue? Because I saw some things like swing passes in second and long to Gibbs in space with defenders bearing down on him, which just doesn't feel like a good idea unless you're using it as a tendency breaker. So if they're being relentlessly aggressive with blitzes upfield, sure. But it wasn't a tendency breaker. It was just a standard, like, this is the designed play. And it was continuing to get blown up. I thought the run game was successful all day. Like, I thought that we looked terrific in the run. I'm not really sure why we didn't hammer the run. We had, 20 runs versus 42 passes. Now, I know some of that is we were behind late, but we wouldn't have been so behind if we just run the fucking ball. Like, they couldn't stop us. Even with Montgomery going 5 for 18, with one of them going for 9, so 4 of 9 on his other ones, we still, generally speaking, look like they couldn't stop us. But we continue to put the ball in the air, which I just don't understand why we continually go away from things which are working just to spice it up a little. Like, why are we doing it for the sake of it? And then struggle to get JMO involved. He did drop some of the catches thrown his way, but some of them were terrifically difficult passes for him to make. We're not scheming up touches for him in a really easy way. It's like we're kind of just saying to him, you're a 50-50 receiver, go and be a 50-50 receiver, whereas other people might make him a little bit of a more gadgety player as well, and that might get him some easy touches, work him into the game. Feels like we're putting JMO in a position to fail, which is unfortunate. And then the other one is not really play calling, but it's kind of in there as well, is at the end of the first half, you've got time to go for the touchdown to tie things up. Why on earth did we go for the field goal? And why with 7 seconds to go when we could have launched it into the end zone? Did we go, no, we'll take an out route for 4 yards just to make the field goal 1% easier? With a field goal kicker who's actually potentially better from distance, so who gives a shit? Like, there were so many things in this game where I don't understand sometimes what the fuck we're doing. And that's really frustrating because when Dan came in to replace Morton as play caller, one good game, and then otherwise, it feels like we've got a bit more rhythm. I think there is an improvement from Morton, but there's still something that feels terribly wrong about what's going on, whether it's rhythm, whether it's kind of feeling the game, whether it's going, I'm just seeing playing going, what the fuck is happening? I don't know how to pose that as a question to you guys. I'll just go to Han and just say, are you with me on this, or do you think I'm a moron for bringing this up because we've won the game? Like, I don't know where to land here.
No, let's make no mistake here. If we were playing a playoff caliber team, we'd have been absolutely trounced in this game. Absolutely trounced. We're only here because the Giants' defense is weak, and not thankfully because some players got hurt, but they had knocks on that defensive line, which kind of eroded the one part of the team where they're really strong against us, which allowed us to play us more freely. But it's negative. All it is negative. Again, 7 passes beyond the sticks. 7 pass attempts beyond the sticks all game. That's it. Nothing else. Everything else behind the line of scrimmage. It's short. It's just negative. It's just inviting defenders to come up and just keep you in pocket. And that's why, it goes back to your Goff thing about saying the stats look fine. Yeah, because so many of the throws are short and they're easy completions. We're not airing the ball out very much. And it hurts because it just means your drives are slow, they're turgid, they're predictable. There's just so many checkdowns, dump offs, screens all the time. And all I'm hearing is, oh, well, the interior of the offensive line can't hold up. But again, we talked about this when we previewed the game. Green Bay had similar issues against them. What did Green Bay do? You have 2, maybe 3 guys running routes. That's it. You put extra blockers in to help. And lo and behold, what did they do? They trusted Christian Watson to be their wide receiver 1, to go upfield, make some big plays downfield, and burn them. And what did he do? He did it. Where's our burning wide receiver threat, JMO? Where are they targeting him downfield again? Nothing, squat, nada. Loads going to Amon-Ra, that's fine. A lot of it's coming after the catch, it's well blocked, but, there are ways. This just absolutely rubbish excuse at this point that it's all the O-line's fault that we're not hitting it downfield. You can scheme past that. You've got one of the best O-line coaches in the league. You've got a whole ton of weapons here. You've got guys who can come in and block. Hell, you can, we've got fullbacks on the practice squad. You can bring up, you can help. There's so many things you can do here. And they're not. And it is really annoying me because if you play like that on offense against Green Bay will eat you alive. Every single play. They will eat you alive and you will get nothing against them. And Jared Goff will get rocked a lot because they'll be sat further and further back from line of scrimmage and they'll not be able to get past it. I agree with you entirely. I just think it's a joke considering what we've got at our disposal. Just, we're not attacking the sticks at all. And it is, again, a better team would have absolutely flounced us on the day. So yeah, something's got to change. I'm sick and tired of the excuse that it's the O-line's fault. You can do something about that. But yeah, I'm fully on board. Something needs to change quickly.
Ash?
Yeah, I agree. So I've got the stats up. A-dot, so obviously average depth of target, 14th percentile, 5.58 yards average depth of target. In comparison, the Giants, who, they have a decent offensive line, but it's not supposed to be the caliber of ours, like the Andrew Thomas, who's okay. The other players on that line are mid. 11.05 A-dot, which is 93rd percentile. Like, it is weird because it's hard to work this team out because when we go in condensed, like there was a couple of times they did it, especially during the end of the first half where we had Monty on the field. We were going condensed and trying to run out those looks, and the Giants could key off it. That's why Monty didn't have a good sort of average per carry because we were running him out of condensed looks. So the Giants could key in on that, condense their field, condense the box, and he's running straight into it and he's getting tackled. And then when we spread it out, they could key off it. Right, okay, they've only got the 5 in because they're going to leak out Brock Wright at some point. So we can send 4, maybe do a late blitz, and we're going to get home and pressure Goff. And it worked. But yeah, we know everyone and their mum knows that the interior's having a few issues. Both our tackles are banged up, carrying injuries. And yet there was definitely good plays from the offensive line. That Penne did not give up a single pressure this game, I believe. Definitely not a sack, not a QB hit. Might have given up 1 hurry, according to PFF. But for the most part, clean in pass protection. Decker had an okay day. Going up against Burns and going up against Abdul Carter. He did okay, but there's ways to scheme on the interiors. You say, even if it is, you elevate Zach Orton, who looked good in preseason in pass blocking. Again, it's preseason. He was going up against like backups on most teams, but there was flashes there, and he's used to being a H-back. Bring him in for that, and it might help the run game as well, since he's actually used to doing that rather than Brock Wright, Ferks, Drelly, who are more in like sort of traditional inline guys. But there's also the plays we were running. We did target JMO, I think, on an intermediate round runts, and it was broken up. But everything else was short. And it was annoying me because I said in my preview tweet I did because I didn't do a full article. They're really damn good against the short passes, but against intermediates at 10 to 15 yards downfield, they're one of the worst defenses. We're supposed to be really good at that. And I know part of that's probably a decline because we don't have Sam Laporta, who was elite in those areas. You've still got Amon-Ra, who's good there. Jamo's become really good in that area. Tesla, when he did run intermediate digs at Arkansas, was really damn good at them. And that's what we would like to see, the Josh Reynolds route, as I like to call it. And it seemingly caught on across X, which I'm so happy with. Yet we didn't do that. It was either screen, short pass to dump down to one of the running backs on a check down because all the routes downfield were covered, or it was a short pass to flats and flares and that. There was nothing really challenging deep. The only one I could remember other than the Jermo intermediate pass breakup was the throw to Tesla when he's running down the sideline and Goff sort of throws it to his right by 3 yards. There was just nothing there, and it is a bit concerning because I know the Commanders' performance was so damn good. We know it's there, but it's beginning to feel like, was that just because we're playing one of the worst defenses in NFL history? We're really going to find out on Thursday now because the Packers, as much as we like to malign them, have got a good defense. Hafney is doing wondrous work there, especially with some of the players he's got. Keyshawn Nixon's turned into one of the best sort of underrated corners in the league. And I hate saying that because I kind of wound him up about it week one, saying he's just a glorified punt returner. He's got stuff going there. And yeah, we're going to have a tough day if we don't fix it because we saw what they did to us week one. We've had time to scheme around it now. We suppose we've got a better play caller, all this. They're going to have us on toast.
I will say one thing about the offense that they are starting to get right is the run blocking again, because it's one thing that we've said, that they continue to be good at, but this season we've had 4 games with less than 100 yards rushing. 3 of those 4 were under 75 yards, so we've been shut down in some games in the run. Since the bye, 65 against the Vikings, 226 against the Commanders, 74 against the Eagles, 237 against the Giants. So bad defense, we've smashed them on the ground. Good defenses, we've kind of struggled, but you can only beat what's in front of you. And I think the stars of the show that won't get as much credit as Gibbs were that offensive line, because, man, those holes that Gibbs were running into were large. I mean, there was a reason that he had 3 or 4 massive chunk plays in this game, and I think that'll go overlooked.
Yeah, I agree with that. But it's just, for Gibbs, definitely, unfortunately, Monty, as I said, was a curse of we went condensed on a lot of his looks and it just hurt him. But yeah, Penne was again elite as a run blocker. Tesla, I know we like to rag on him a bit, of just ragged on him with his one target not being that good, but 83 run blocking grade from PFF. He did, when he was on the field, he did good at that. Amon-Ra is always a good run blocker. Jamo, I think, is a bit underrated by PFF and his run blocking. Help Brock Wright, someone we've maligned for his blocking this season as a tight end too, had a pretty damn good day run blocking. And I did see on the notes actually just 1 year later points with that about Brock Wright's blocking. But there were definitely things. We used Dan Skipper for the first time in what seems like this year a lot more, 15 snaps and only 5 of them run blocks now with pass blocking, but we used him as a blocker a bit more, and Eric's now listing him as a tight end because of the way we were using him. We've definitely improved there. It's just, can we now bring that to the pass blocking? Can we hopefully build off these run blocking looks we've done the past couple of weeks, turn them into pass blocking looks, because that will definitely help, as Ant's point earlier. Start doing a bit of more passing out of run blocking looks. It will hopefully open up the box and hope for things, because then defense will be caught up like we were this week against the Giants. Oh, it's a running block, right? Okay, let's do it. Oh no, they've just passed it on as crap.
You do it again twice. The Giants are the worst statistic run defense in the NFL. So, it's not a good level of opposition you're talking about here. They've never been good at stopping the run in recent years. So it's good to see they're doing it right, but you're doing it against the worst unit in the entire league. Let's go and do it against a real defense and show that we can execute when we're against a better caliber of player. That'll show you it's heading in the right direction.
All right, one thing to bring up just about the game on the other side, and it's the situational thing. I talked about us at the end of the first half, or all the talk is about the Giants at the end of the second half. They had an opportunity, 1 on second down, to run the ball to kill out all our timeouts. They threw a pass and it went incomplete. Then they went for it on 4th down instead of taking the field goal to go up by 6. The criticism has come in from elite neighbours, among others, believing that the Giants should have taken the field goal to go up by a 6. We mentioned it on the live during the game, that conventional wisdom would say go for the field goal here. Since me and Ash talked about it already, and what do you make of the decision for the Giants to go for it? Because I feel very strongly about this.
I'm 100% in agreement with what they did. I thought it was a wonderful decision from them. Because what does a win get them now? Nothing. They're not going to the playoffs. They're not going to. They're not going to make any waves this year when it comes to the postseason. Where you're at, and where you've got to understand where you're at, is you're a team that's rebuilding, and you've got a new head coach coming in. So essentially, you're starting from scratch. Maybe it's Kafka, who knows? Dan did this a lot in his early days here when people would talk about some of the boneheaded calls he'd make when he was being too aggressive, quote unquote, during games, that we should have just gone for the wins. But, knocking a field goal and winning by 6, yeah, it's all right beating the Lions and that. But for me, you're teaching your team a mentality when you're saying to them, right, it's 4th and goal. We could kick a field goal to go up 6 here, but I want you to go and finish this game. I want you to make the big play that is going to win us this game. We're not going to do this the easy way. We're going to do it the hard way because maybe, just maybe one day in 2 or 3 years' time, they're in a playoff game and they're at a 4th and goal and they need to convert this 4th and goal and score a touchdown to win said game. And you come back to these moments where you're in these aggressive situations and your coach trusts you to do this. If you execute it properly and you do it, that establishes a level of confidence in a team to be able to go out and do it when it matters the most. You make these decisions when it's got no bearing on the team, when it doesn't really matter, because it doesn't matter now. A win just knocks down the draft position. This is where you find out what you've got with some of these guys. And I think it was a great decision from them because that's where they're at right now. And they'll learn from this. They didn't execute this time. Some people were in on that play who didn't do the job, didn't execute it right. The more you do it, the more you will drill in them the ability to do it successfully. And again, no one cares. No one cares that the Giants lost to the Lions because we're a better team than they are. People are going to forget about this soon enough. So I 100% agree with them, and that's why I'm also glad we weren't playing a playoff team, because the playoff team wouldn't have done that. They'd kicked the field goal and trusted their defense to keep us out. So it was lucky for us on the day, but I think they made the right decision. And, yeah, fair play to them. Keep being aggressive, keep doing what you're doing. You will start to win games that way eventually.
Ash, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. And the thing is, as well, to look at it from the defensive side of things as well, is if they go for it and they don't get it, which obviously happened, but the defense then has like 97 yards of field to defend. The odds are, I know obviously we did score, but the odds are with the defense, if you've got that, you can usually get a safety or something. You can at least get a 3 and out and get good field position and get the offense back there, the ball by about midfield at the least. You probably get a bit more field position than that. It does put your defense, your team in advantageous situations, and it's good that at least Kafka is showing that modern style of thinking. It's one of the reasons why I say he should be their head coach next season, because he knows his team inside out and he's got some of that down already. Yes, there's stuff he'll probably need to work on, as do all young head coaches, first-time roles and that, but he seemingly got the locker room because that team fought to the end pretty much, and he's making the right kind of decisions. We're not talking about bloody Brandon Staley here, who was the least aggressive coach ever in these situations after having a really good first season at it. We're not talking about Pete Carroll, who seemingly is on his way out now from the Raiders. They fired their offensive coordinator last night, Chip Kelly, and now they're going back to one of their standard guys who's done it 3 times already. We're talking about a team that, that isn't a bad situation, but isn't going down without a fight. They are like us in that early regime, and it will bear out for them. They've got some of the pieces now with Dart, hopefully, and Neighbours and Cam Scatterby. Off Andrew Thompson's got offensive line. They could, turn around in a couple of years, because the Eagles, we've seen it this season, they're not exactly infallible. The Cowboys, they've got great offense, but their defense needs a lot of work, and the Commanders are coming back down to earth after their sort of really good season last year where everything went right for them. They might be like the Patriots, where they get the right guy in, get a good draft, and suddenly they're contending their division again. I can see it, and this is the right way to start about doing that.
At the end of the day, regardless of whether it's a bad team or a good team doing this, going for it is the right call as long as you're in fourth and manageable. Just statistically, it's the right thing to do. For the reason that Ash said of, if you turn it over, they've got a much longer drive to do. In the worst case scenario, you throw it incomplete, and I think it was from the 6-yard line. You've got to put together a 94-yard drive for a touchdown. Okay, but it's actually 3 you need. Fine. So it's probably on the fringes of 55, 60 yards you need to make it a manageable field goal. If you kick the field goal, and then let's say you kick it through the end zone, we come out to the 35, which actually was probably about our starting field position if it was returned anyway, because we're returning kicks for 30 yards average anyway. Then you need to go 65 yards for a touchdown. So instead of 55 yards for a field goal, you need to go 65 yards for a touchdown. But starting at the 35 is much less pressure than starting at the 6. So in terms of just the reality of how things change, you've traded not a massive difference in the amount of yards needed to go for the fact that if you score a touchdown, the game's over. And you have kicked that ability away. You need to take the game into your own hands, go and win the game for yourself. Throwing the ball does that. But also, if you're a head coach who likes vibes, well, they were very successful throwing the ball. All day. I know that they were only 50% completion rate, but they had big plays in there. So, if I was the head coach who made their decision based on how you're feeling at the time, it makes sense to go for it. And if you're a game theory head coach who's going to try and make the best decision at each point, you should probably go for it. So, all these people who are just saying, you should have kicked the field goal because we happened to tie the game afterwards, are too results orientated. They're looking at the result of the game saying we lost because. And it's like, but he made the right decision at the right time and you don't like the result at the end.
And then if you take the field goal conversely and we go and get a touchdown and run the thing out, people are like, they should have been more aggressive and gone for the touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah, you annoyed one side of the debate or the other.
Hindsight is 2020. It's just easy for people to critique these things when they're done the way they are. And, it's... Yeah, I don't get it. It doesn't matter. You don't need wins now. Who cares if you win or not?
Yeah. All right, let's go to stock ups. Actually, no, let's not go stock up, stock down. I've got one question then after talking about all of the refs and the issues on defense and offense and play calling and whatever. Do you have anything that you would like to see? Not to do the Packers preview before we do the Packers preview. Is there any thought of common sense stuff you'd like to see from the Lions going forward? Not necessarily as a result of this game, but just a change that you'd make offensively, defensively. Is there something kind of not working in isolation you'd like to see changed?
The defensive line needs to step up and do better. It's been poor recently. This is, not including Hutch, not getting involved in that debate. But the rest of it has been pretty useless recently. And, that's meaning that Hutch is getting a lot of pressure on him now because others aren't pulling their weight. I'm actually at the point now, and I never ever thought I'd say this, but I'm hoping for the day that Sicknote and Sicknote Jr. get back on this team because I'm sick of seeing Aline play on the edge. I'm sick of us getting called pressure from the interior because we've got 2 run cloggers in there who can't rush the passer. And I'm sick of having journeymen knocking around on this edge who flash for a bit and then it just goes quiet. I love AQ and what he's done, but I think recently we've found his ceiling. He's not been effective at all. There's no one else really there. There's just a bunch of nobodies, and I'm at the point now where I'm hoping for a pair of guys who can't even stay healthy for a minute to come back and see if they can do out about it, because it's going to be a struggle during the playoffs. Even Riz was saying this. They're going to get annihilated in the playoffs if they can't sort this out. And I think, we talk about the secondary being bad in this game. I would counter slightly by saying, well, what the hell's the D-line doing for them? You've got guys back there who are off the practice squad, who are off the street, who are performing very well in the circumstances. And you've got a lot of your senior pros coming back off injury. Well, they're getting absolutely no help from the line whatsoever. I keep seeing these stats get bumped. Oh, we're getting a good pressure rate. No, we're not. We might be getting near the quarterback. You're not putting actual pressure on him, and you are not causing mistakes which your secondary can eat up. It's just ineffective, and it looks like that every game right now. So something has to be changed on that front. Um, I mean, Pascal should be back this week. Davenport's clock will be up soon. Let's see. But the defensive line is not acceptable right now, and it needs changing very quickly. Again, Sans watch out this conversation. He's nothing to do with it. The rest of them.
Yeah, I agree with you, Liam. I even said it on the stream yesterday that it kind of worked as a wrinkle, but we're leaning into it too much. Like, he's best at that free tech position where he can attack from the interior and go up against weaker guards rather than being isolated against a tackle 1-on-1. Like, because that's where he was so effective against the Bucks. His first game back, admittedly, so they probably fit and fire him, but we used him a lot from the interior, and he was absolutely wrecking game plans. And he had a good couple of plays yesterday, but put him back where he's best. You've got AQ, you've got Tyler Lacey, who, is not exactly well beat up, but he's okay there. Torres Sweet, and then we'll get we've used Barnes as a sort of stand-up edge rusher in that position. Do that, because part of the reason having him back was so good is suddenly now you have at least 4 guys you can rotate there with him, Ty Lee, DJ Reader, and Roy Lopez, who, other than Hutch, has been the standout on the defensive line the past couple of weeks. Which says it all, because he's our third string nose tackle. He's a rotational piece, someone we only really signed as a fill-in kind of guy. And he's been our standout defensive tackle the past couple of weeks. Fair play to him, but that's an issue. So put Aleem Weck where he's supposed to be. And then hopefully things will get a bit better in the pass rush department. On offense, it's attack that intermediate, get a range a bit more. Like, okay, the offensive line is not exactly great. Goff's good at anticipation. If he knows his guy's going to make his cut and get open within 3 seconds, if he's throwing it half a second early, at least he knows where he's throwing it to. He can get it there. Attack the intermediate game. Don't just revert to we're either throwing it really deep if we suddenly get a nice bit of pass protection, or we're throwing it short. Use the intermediate game. That's where we've buttered our bread the past couple of years in the offense. Go back to that, because it will make linebackers have to respect it. They'll have to blitz less, and suddenly the pass protection might get a bit better.
The thing I want to see is us not resort to blitzing to create the pressure that we're missing. We are getting burned in the secondary because they're having to go one-on-one behind a blitz which fails to get home. The pass rush isn't working, and actually a lot of the explosive plays that we're seeing are coming as a result of blitzing either at the wrong time, or them calling a good play into a blitz, or the offensive line just stymieing it and the quarterback having lots of time to pick people off against one-on-one coverage. If your defensive line aren't getting there, fine. Lower the blitz rate. I'm not saying don't do it entirely, but the blitzing needs to be more of a surprise. The number of times we're seeing an offensive coordinator call a screen into our blitz is getting infuriating. And the reason they're able to do that is because they're thinking, I think the other team should blitz here, so I'll call a screen into it, hoping they do. Or, they're blitzing so often here, they'll probably do it again, or something to that effect. But it's not working. Now, that puts the onus more on the defensive line to actually do what they're meant to do, to Ant's point. I am going to wade into the Hutchinson thing. He has not been as effective in the last month as we are used to him being. That is not to say that he's playing badly by any means. I actually think, in terms of run defense, he's played significantly better in the second half of the season, so as long as it's been so far. If you split it into the first 5 or 6 games, the second 5 or 6 games, he's been notably better against the run, where he was terrible against the run early on in the season. But, he had a great stretch games, 2 through 6 or 3 through 5 or something like that, where he is unblockable. And since then, he's kind of just gone off the boil a bit. He's not being the game wrecker that we're used to him being, and that is being felt on the rest of the line. It isn't all on Hutchinson. We are paying him to be that guy, but early on this season against like Cincinnati, Baltimore, and stuff, Al-Qadim Mohammed was playing out of his skin. That's not happening anymore. Not to throw shade at Al-Qadim, I think he's playing about as well as he has done through his career. But he kind of just went through a purple patch, and that kind of has come out the other side now. I'm confident he could get back to where he was, but, he's regressed a little bit. Obviously, Davenport and Pascal not being there is not great. We lack the juice a little bit in terms of pass rushing chops on the rest of the positions, and the rest of the team's feeling it. But to chuck the secondary in at the deep end because that defensive line is not performing is not paying dividends. And if it has to be death by 1,000 cuts, fine. But these explosive plays are killing us because with the offense not quite firing as much as they could do, instead what you're doing is you're giving the Goff plenty of chances to throw bad passes or for us to scheme badly into situations. And then it puts the offense behind the sticks under big pressure. If it's death by 1,000 cuts, this defense has it in them to generate a splash play every now and again. The more the defense on the field, I think the more chance we've got of getting that splash play together. And, maybe let's not let them convert a 3rd and 17 like we did in this game. But you give the defense more chance if you actually died more slowly than they were doing. But having as Ash, as you said, 50% of their offensive plays being chunk plays, being explosives, that's totally unacceptable. It can't stand. So blitz a bit less and just trust the defensive line is going to do their thing. And if they don't, live with it. But I'd rather our cornerbacks aren't on an absolute island. And also, like, as you said it as well yesterday, rotating down into cover 1 when they're good against single high feels like you didn't scout the team well enough, or you thought you knew better than the history that this team has put on tape, which doesn't feel great. It doesn't hurt that maybe Branch had his worst game of the season. That's a big deal, because Branch is such a big player on this defense. If he plays exceptionally well, it papers over some massive cracks. And if he plays badly, the rest of the defense actually looks quite bad with it. And he's that kind of fit, along with Jack, him and Hutch. Those three, if they have good games, you kind of don't have to worry about the rest. When they have bad games, it exposes everyone else. All right, sorry for the rant, but just felt like it. Should we move to stock up, stock down? I've kind of given you one stock down there for Branch. I feel bad, but Man's going to get not just fines. Man's going to get suspended if he keeps having these head-to-head hits. He can't keep doing this. He's got to learn. Like, get it into your skull that you cannot play this way. I did see some people saying, maybe we shouldn't pay him a second contract, and I think they're fucking lunatics because he's still one of the best safeties in the NFL. But you've continued to do something which over your career you have shown a propensity to do. Please stop it. Anyone else for a stock up or stock down?
I mentioned him earlier, Rui Lopez. For someone who, as I said, was an afterthought in free agency, like, why the hell are we signing this guy? He's making a serious argument to, I know obviously DJ Reader's contract, I believe, is up at the end of the season. He's making an argument to stick around on this roster at a low-level veteran contract as that sort of backup nose tackle guy who can play some special teams as well. Because, yeah, other than Hutch, he's been the standout on this defensive line the past couple of weeks. He really has been. And then that's with Aleem coming back. That's with Tyleek supposedly getting his snaps cut back a bit, so he's used a bit more in favourable situations to him that should help him. Lopez has been the defensive tackle that stood out to me.
In terms of good, don't know. I mean, the very obvious ones like Jameer and Penny, obviously Amon-Ra 150. I don't know if there's any one sort of out there. I mean, I would say I might give one to Tate. After Tate had his welcome to the NFL moment last week, he bounced back in a very strong way this week. Of course, with rookies, they're always going to get got. But the good ones bounce back instantly, and I thought he had an incredibly good game on the bounce back of that one. So I would give a big up to Tate. Don't like the haircut, my man.
No one does. I'm going to give one to Aline. I know we put him in a shit situation again by putting him on the edge, but this is the first game this season where I didn't think that he was a bit rusty. You know, he was making plays, he was forcing the offensive line back, he was stymieing stuff in the run. One of the reasons the run defense was so strong in this game as compared to previous games for us where we've actually left quite a lot out there is that he had his best game of the season, I think, pretty comfortably.
I mean, you've got to add old Thomas in there as well. Like, guys, man's an undrafted free agent in his second year, and he's a mainstay on defense and safety now, Thomas Harper. First pick, good for him. Yeah, like he's just been put in there, and at this point, I don't even really notice him, which is a great thing to say about him because, usually you notice guys. When you don't notice them from where he's at and what he's done, that's about as good a thing as you can give. But great pick from him. Also, minor note, I know we've talked about the minor notes already, but another king turnover with no points off it. I am sick and tired of getting turnovers and what did we get? 2 yards off of it? It's like man's just got his first interception in the NFL and you reward him with 2 yards and a punt. Like, well done, lads. We may as well just have let them punt beforehand. It's now getting worrying. And some arse will probably put a stat out, someone go, oh, actually, we're not that bad at it. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We are using stats to cover up way too much of this team's deficiencies this year, and we are twisting them to such a degree. This is a critical problem, especially come playoff time. Turnovers are gold dust, and you have got to make teams pay with them. We could have ended this game a lot earlier if we'd have got something off that.
Yeah, I agree with Harper. Minor correction, it's his second. He got one last year for Las Vegas. Second, so it's his first interception.
You are ever yourself, Ash.
But I agree. I said it like yesterday when Kirby was out and was like, "Shit, who's going to fill this void?" I did point out Harper because he's done it in Las Vegas last year. Obviously, had those good games against Kansas City. He was like, "Yeah, fit in Kansas City." He has made safety free has been an issue for the past couple of years. That's why we brought in CJ Gardner-Johnson. All these guys, Harper's locked it down now. We finally have got that true backup to Kirby that I've been calling for a couple of years. He should hopefully stick around here. And then on the same side, it's the other guy mentioned in free agency that's kind of stepped up. Rocky Sin has been, I know obviously Reed's been out and Terrence had the concussion. Rock has been our best cornerback the past couple of weeks, and it's not close. I know he's had 2 really bad DPI calls on him that shouldn't have happened, but good in run defense, good in coverage, really physical, and he stepped up on special teams as well. What more can you ask for?
I think the snap count on defense is really, really telling as to how the Lions regard the situation right now, especially with DJ Reed kind of working his way back. Reed was clearly on a snap count. He only had 31 defensive snaps. That compares to Amik Robertson with 79 and Rock Ya-Sin with 70. They place a lot of faith in Rock, and except for the egregious DPI call, which never was, he had a terrific day.
Meek needs Terrian back tomorrow. He's starting to get exposed now that he's playing a lot more football than he should be. He's been targeted, 20 times in the last 2 games. Teams know now. They stick someone shifty and quick on him that there's a weakness there to be had. He's still a great player, but he's playing an expanded role that he shouldn't be right now. So hopefully Terrian's back soon and can fill that, because that's going to become a problem.
I think the way Rock's playing right now, I wouldn't be surprised to see, even if Terrion doesn't come back next week, Rock and DJ Reed being the starting outside corners with Amik being the slot, and the slot being used 50% of the time or less because we're in base most of the time. So I think you might get your wish, and even if we don't get Terrion back, if we do, then I think that's going to impact Rock's snaps. But Rock, I agree with Ash, is the best cornerback we have right now. That would actually make me quite sad if we played Reed and Terrion and relegated Rock to the bench, because I think you'd be missing something.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, in some ways, if Terrion came back, I'd rather have Rock Ya-Sin out there permanently and Reed and Terrion rotating in and out and put them both on snap counts just to work them back in.
Yeah.
In terms of stock down, I feel bad considering I said that Barnes is going to get some hate for missing the tackle, but at least he read the play well. But otherwise, for being the overhang player and the third linebacker, I called him out a week ago or two saying we need to see more. He hasn't delivered. It's been quite, not upsetting. I was going to say upsetting, and I don't mean that, but it has been quite perplexing. He's playing in a role which should have a natural advantage as an overhang player who comes on a blitz sometimes or drops into coverage. In some ways, you've got the advantage of being that ultimate chess piece that gets moved around, and the quarterback doesn't know whether you're coming or going and has to react to you in the moment. And in some ways, the tight end doesn't know whether you're on him or not. He has a natural advantage in the position he's in, and he's looking shit.
Who?
Derek Barnes.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, he's not been good recently. The other major one, I'm very sorry, but it's time for Graham to go. He's done. He's finished. And I don't care whether it upsets the offensive line and put Cole on in there, bring Kingsley up. Let's start. He's a hindrance to us at this point, and we're carrying him as a hindrance. In spite of it, I know center's a position and that you need trust with, and Goff trusts him, etc., etc. But there is no doubt in the correlation that the interior is suffering because he is just hanging on like a limpet mine when we need to cut it off. He's just not got it no more, and it hates me to say because I love we drafted him. He spent a lot of years here. He's done a lot of good for us, but we are a playoff team with Super Bowl aspirations, and we are heading towards the playoffs right now, carrying an obvious weakness on this team, and we are just letting it happen, and it could cost us big one day. Hell, it might cost us in the coming weeks against some of these defensive lines we're going up against. Someone put up, again, I know PFF grades are crap and everything, but someone put his PFF grades up in the wins earlier today, and just even in wins, the metrics are not good with him. So I think you try and solve this problem now during the season and get someone else up to speed in here and just put Graham on the bench. And you've got some good quality depth if you need to at guard, etc. Or move him to left guard, whatever. But yeah, it's time to go, and we need to make that move soon.
All right, let's draw the conversation about the Lions to a close. If you're on YouTube and Twitch, stay there. We're going to be talking about the rest of the weekend's games, but we're going to wrap this up for the audio show. Our next episode is tomorrow on the main podcast. We are going to be previewing Thanksgiving's game against the Green Bay Packers, and the College Football Podcast is going to be back later on in the week. What are you going to be talking about?
It's Ryan's time to guess the FCS playoff bracket because that got announced on Sunday. So we've got playoff football this upcoming weekend, which is going to be fun. So as always, he's going to attempt to fill the bracket in from scratch and see how much of it he can get right. Pretty sure he did get it right last year, quite a big chunk of it. So, but there's that. Then there's obviously the permutations for the last week of the season in regarding to all the conferences, which we'll be doing. This is my second part of our look on players in the group of 5 who are breaking out big this year, who you're going to probably see at a big team near you soon. And then we have, if I get a chance, been asked to reclassify our centre and tackle classes for the draft, both of which look really promising this year. So if we get that done, we'll get that done as well. But yeah, a lot in, obviously. So the business end of the year now, there's a lot going off. So no shortage of content for stuff.
I've got one question for you. Lane Kiffin says he's going to give his decision on Saturday. What's it going to be?
He's going to go to LSU.
Yeah.
He has always followed the money during his career. He will go because it's you win in LA, you win at LSU. Louisiana is your home for the rest of your days. It's a very high profile gig. One of his daughters getting knocked up by the team captain, so that'll help as well. But yeah, he's a goner. He has been disloyal his entire career, and he's just a self-serving guy. He's going to go and take a ton of money there, and he's going to leave Ole Miss right before the playoffs, and it'll be disgusting.
All right. college show, that and more later on in the week. Of course, Thanksgiving is Thursday. We will not be live for Thanksgiving, or at least I won't be. If Ant and Ash are around, I don't know if there will be, but I will not be here, unfortunately. We will be back with a recap show, potentially Friday evening, potentially Saturday, not sure yet. We'll keep you up to date with that. So 4 shows this week for the show, which is going to be great. But otherwise, you can follow us on our socials. You know how to do it. Roar the Lions UK, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And the group for worldwide fans on Facebook is Detroit Lions Fans UK, One Pride Worldwide. Our very own Ryan Farden was at Ford Field for this game. Just gone, sent us a lovely video of the Hutchinson sacks to end the game. So that was really good fun. But yeah, fantastic episode, guys. Thank you very much for doing this with me, and for everyone listening. We'll see you soon. Let's go, Lions, One Pride.
On Pride.
Recording stopped.
Rest of the weekend's games then. Starting with Thursday night football. Bills fall to the Texans. The Davis Mills Texans led to a victory, and 20 of the 23 points scored by the Texans was in the first. Indeed, only 6 points, 3 for each team, came in the second. Allen threw 2 picks. He was sacked 8 times. Leading running back for Houston was Woody Marks. This game had all the fun to it, and I know I've been a bit of a Bills homer over my time here, and a Josh Allen homer, but this was an awesome game to watch. Will Anderson, 2.5 sacks. Danielle Hunter, 2 sacks in and amongst the 8 that they had. Texans are making a run for the AFC South from absolutely nowhere.
I'm going to start anti-hate watching the Bills now. When I hate watch the Bills, they win. When I anti-hate watch them, they lose. So by hate watching them, I've got to anti-hate watch them.
But the gods are going to know you're doing that now.
Oh, shit. No, I've got this right. I just need it to be right for the Grossiverse. The Grossiverse will help me with this one. And, the Bills losing. Emperor Patriotine is in charge now, so the Bills will suffer. So I'm good. The Texans are, one of those teams you don't want to face. That defensive line alone can win you playoff games. Like, that's what you invest in. That's why you went back up to get Will Anderson in the draft those couple of years ago. He's absolutely phenomenal. Like, that thing can win you a lot of games. They might go in as a wild card, but they're probably the one wild card team nobody in the AFC will want to face at all. Like, it was just pure and utter domination. And, like, where's all this stuff about the Bills been a fallen dynasty? They've got the same record that we have. They're 7-4. You don't see the daily talk shows talking about how their window's closed and how they're suffering and how they're useless now. Exactly the same record. I don't get it. It's all down to Josh Allen, but I'm going to say this. I thought he's looked ass the last few weeks, and I don't know whether his star is starting to decline now because he's getting older. The legs will go, and once his legs go, that is a big part of his game gone because all he's got is the arm, and teams are adapting to that.
Yeah, I have to agree. Like, you look at, I've I've seen it a couple of times, but you look at Josh Allen's stats, I think it's so far this season, and Jared Goff's, they're pretty similar. Yet one is seen as, he's the best QB in the league, all this, and this, and then Goff is underrated. I know Goff has had the best season by all accounts, but, says it all. But fair play to the Texans. I underrated them. I did not pick them on pick watch. It's probably hurt my ability to keep the lead in our league, but it was a good kind of game to keep an eye on while, I'm wandering around an empty train station at 3:30 in the morning, which definitely helped.
This was the only game I picked wrong. I am 12-1 this week so far, and Ash, we are level on Pickwatch going into Monday Night Football at the top of the league.
No.
I don't know who you've picked for Monday Night Football. Anyway, I want to pick differently to you, but anyway, next game up is the Steelers falling to the Bears, 31-28. Caleb, 19 of 35 for 239, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Monongai got a rushing touchdown. DJ Moore, 5 of 7 for 64 and 2 touchdowns. He's had a very quiet season, but kind of found his way back. But the Steelers ran the ball very successfully. 36 carries for 186 and 2 touchdowns. Rudolph, 24 of 31, so efficient, but only 171, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. They fumbled the ball twice and lost it once, Pittsburgh. Chicago fumbled the ball twice and lost it both times. Kind of feels like a game, really, that could have been there for the Steelers to win, but unfortunately for us, it didn't happen.
Yep. As I mentioned on the live stream, the Bears did a good. They targeted them in the middle of that Pittsburgh defense over and over and over again, and that's why they had a really good success rate on it. Duns had a good game. Loveland had a good game. They just needed what they needed to do. Steelers did get fucking close, and I was hoping they'd pull it out just because I hate the Bears. But they just keep doing it, don't they? And it's annoying. I know Kirby's posted about it on his Instagram story this week, which makes me think that maybe he'll be back soon. They have 3 of the top 5 interception leaders in the league, and it's very much carrying that defense because they've been bad otherwise. But when they're just getting that type of turnover, look, it's keeping in games, and they keep getting it. Maybe that's just their story this year, is that they get a lot of turnovers, but they also give up a lot of yards. They turn into like the Deron Bland, the Trayvon Diggs of defenses, but they get big plays. They also give them up.
Bears are more fraudulent than my hairline. I'm just going to get that out of the way right now.
That's horrifying.
What is? Hang on.
What? You asked for that by comparing the two.
Put it that way, that is their only win this year against a team above 500, and it's the Steelers, who are absolute arse. They are completely and utterly fraudulent, the Bears are. They will be found out by the first decent team they face. As they were with us.
Next up is the Patriots' victory over the Bengals, 26-20, making the Patriots the first 10-win team in this NFL season. Drake May, 22 of 35, 294, a touchdown and a pick. Travion Henderson, 18 for 66, not especially successful. Chase Brown had a good day. He was 19 of 107 on the ground, but otherwise Flacco, 19 of 37 for 183, a touchdown and a pick. I felt like the Bengals were in this game without ever looking like they were really going to win this game. What really sticks out, Hunter Henry, 7 of 10 for 115 and a touchdown, really did the business for the New England Patriots in receiving. Another, frustrating game if you're a kind of closeted Bengals fan.
Yeah, and the sad thing is for Flacco is that his cameo's over now. With Burrow supposedly back in training now, he'll probably be playing Thursday, and Flacco will be relegated to the bench again. But he's had a pretty damn Brown side, time aside, he's had a pretty damn good season. The FC North for the Bengals, he's kept them kind of afloat to the point where it is kind of worth them bringing back Joe just to see if they can get a wild card and maybe make a sort of splash. They probably won't win the Super Bowl or anything. Check back that in a couple of months' time. But he's done well enough, and Patriots defense looks a bit off, and May definitely looks off. Obviously, the interception he threw was not good, but again, it was a tough game. They needed to grit it out, and they did. Fair play to them, and hopefully, I hate to say it, but may the Drake May dominance continue.
Yeah, trying to find the correct balance on the May Patriot line, what I'm coining it, is very difficult. Yeah. On one hand, I have Drake May's happiness, and on the other, it's the Patriots' dominance. And it's, I want Drake May's happiness to go up, but I don't want the Patriots' dominance to go up because they don't deserve it. They've had their moment. They deserve to be crap for all time. And at this point, we're reaching a dangerously high level on the Patriots' dominance side, so might have to reduce the May happiness scale, which would also upset me. But they're getting too big for the boost. I mean, they've lost the left tackle and left guard today. Things may change now. You've lost the entire left-hand side of that line for at least a month, if not more. So maybe that's just a kick back down to earth the Patriots will need, and the May Patriot scale will go back to equilibrium again.
All right. Next game up is the Packers' victory over the Vikings, 23-6. Especially relevant, of course, because the Packers are the Lions' next opponent. They won by 17 points, They only threw for 142 yards, the Packers. Love was 14 of 21 for 139. Willis did throw one pass for 7 yards. Their entire offense was basically Emmanuel Wilson on the ground. 28 carries in this game for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. They did recover a fumble from Miles Price by Zane Anderson, and otherwise JJ McCarthy was worse than spiking the ball every single time. 12 of 19 for 87 yards and 2 picks. Frankly, boys, the Vikings should have stayed home because the Packers didn't beat them. They beat themselves.
Yep. So everyone in our Discord knows about like the little charts I like to post on Monday mornings when they get sent through. Jesus Christ, there's a lot of red for the Minnesota offense versus Green Bay defense. But at the same time, the Green Bay offense is not a lot of green. It's usually a lot of yellow, so in the middle of the pack stuff. Minnesota just beat themselves, and it's just funny because it just shows they really should have stuck with Darnold after last season. They made them they did kind of make a mistake, sort of throwing McCarthy into the fight. Oh well, letting them throw 9 into the fire, shall we say? Because obviously he's got this persona thing. He is looking so bad on loads of metrics. I mean, there's quite a lot of metrics where the only QB that's worse than him in career metrics than him is Jamarcus Russell. That says it all. That really says it all.
We need to stop digging up these facts about JJ McCarthy because he beat us. So in covering these facts, we're sticking a finger up at ourselves. So I think we need to let bygones be bygones here and just let his downfall happen and forget about it. I don't like knowing that this guy somehow diced us up. The only 2 teams he's been dominant against in his life are Ohio State and the Detroit Lions, and that's just not a pretty thing.
Next game. After Ash reacts at something. Sorry.
I'll put it. I'll put it into Discord. It's something that Ant will very much appreciate.
It's the Seahawks' victory over the Titans, 30-24. I joked with Ant in the preview about the Tennessee Titans being a trap game here, and is it going to be Ant's upset of the week? We didn't pick them, but the Seahawks only won by 6 points in the end. It was 16-3 at the half, but Tennessee came on strong with 21 points later on in this game. Cam Ward with maybe his best performance as a starter, 28-42, 256, a touchdown and no picks. Sam Darnold, though, was pretty good too, 16-26 for 244, 2 touchdowns. No picks. Cam also had one on the ground, 6 for 37 and a touchdown. Otherwise, they had nothing going on the ground. I think that's what really did for Tennessee. But you know what? An entertaining game, and Jackson Smith and Jigba making the Seahawks fans not miss DK Metcalf anymore with a big boy touchdown over a defender.
Yep, he's now their single season receiving yards leader, and we've not even hit December yet. Like, what the hell? I know this is feeding to a thing. What the hell do Ohio State feed their receivers? Because Jesus Christ. Like, he's like this, and in a couple of years, Jeremiah Smith's going to come out, and he's probably going to look even better. JSN is the best receiver in the league this season, and it's not even close.
See, you can tell week on week in week, the Titans are getting better. And the Titans are going to start upsetting a lot of people very soon. They just need to give him a running back worth a damn. Like, it's all going through the air. And look who he's throwing to. Like, Gunnar Helm, rookie. Kamari Dyke, rookie. Xavier Restrepo, rookie. James Proche, picked up off a street corner somewhere. Like, the kid's doing this with absolutely no weapons whatsoever. And he's still finding a way to get points. And they were way down at one point. They made this more competitive than it had a right to be. Like, if people can't see how special Cam Ward is, then they're just deliberately missing the mark at this point. Like, when you put a competent team around him, they're going to be good very quickly. So I was very happy that they were competitive in this one.
Next game up is the Chiefs' victory in overtime against the Colts, 23-20. Chiefs entered the fourth quarter 20-9 down, led a touchdown drive with a 2-point conversion, then a field goal, bleeding out the final 5 minutes of clock to level the game, kicking their field goal to tie things up from the Indy 7 on fourth down and goal after a sack by Kwesi Paye and Laiatu Latu. But unfortunately for every single non-Kansas City fan, is that the old empire isn't dead yet after a punt by Indy and a field goal to win the game by Kansas City. And boys, I really truly believe this Chiefs team was dead and buried going into the fourth quarter, but never ever rule out Mahomes and this Chiefs team, I guess.
Refereeing corruption. I'm sorry, but the refs bailed him out of this. What was that roughing call on Mahomes? One of the most egregious calls made of all time, roughing the passer. My horse, like literally the DT's knee hits the ground first and takes all the sting out of the tackle that he's made. He barely lands on him. Mahomes rolls over like a little bitch and starts going, ref, give me a flag, and gets a flag. Honestly, it's disgusting. Like, the refs were all over this. The Colts were great. Someone put a tweet out, what was it? They didn't give up a single sack in the game. They won the turnover battle. They got like half a dozen sacks themselves. Forced the quarterback to throw 50 times. I mean, in those situations, you should probably be winning. But there are a lot of big game-changing calls there that the refs made that did not make life easy for Indy whatsoever and extended drives for the Chiefs. You are not telling me that there is not some form of Chiefs bias in this at the minute, Cos. It was absolutely disgusting. This does nothing. This changes nothing for the Colts. They are still a very good team, and they absolutely whooped the Chiefs at the line of scrimmage. So if they just be a little bit more deadly going forward and a little bit more stick the knife in, they're still going to beat a lot of teams and do well in the playoffs.
Yeah, Latu's interception was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful for a defensive lineman to get to him like that. And damn, he nearly scored. He was that close to scoring. When I saw it, it's like, damn. But yeah, Chiefs live on, unfortunately. I hate it.
Got the Cowboys next week, which is going to be interesting given what happened this week, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But next up is the Jets lost to the Ravens, and I really, really, really thought the Jets were going to win this one. They were up 7-3 at halftime. I know I'm a fool for thinking it, but Baltimore looked legitimately bad in this game up to the half. They scored 20 points in the third and fourth quarters. But Lamar finishes 13-23 for 153, no touchdowns, no picks, and had 7 carries for 11 yards. This version of Lamar Jackson is going nowhere. He looks a shadow of himself. He's clearly not healthy. But fortunately, Derrick Henry did just enough. And I mean just 21 for 64 and 2 touchdowns at 3 yards a carry is not setting the world alight. But he did get the ball in the end zone. And the Jets, well, didn't, for want of a better word.
Yeah, Henry had a less than 20% rushing success rate. Like there is, again, using these stats, there is a lot of red. There's a lot of red, including one that definitely surprised people. They had a second percentile scramble EPA. Lamar Jackson had a second percentile scramble EPA. Supposedly the most, like, all this. Not much better on the Jets side, but it was a weird game. It was a weird ass game. I guess again, talent differential won it out for the Ravens, but the Jets were in that. They were in that, and again, it's no moral victories, but they can at least they stuck around, and yeah, they were leading at half. There's stuff to build on there. They definitely need to still tear it down and rebuild it, but there's little bits there that they can see things are working in a small part.
I mean, Aaron did better in his first game against the Ravens than Dan did, so got to take your hats off there. It just must be so depressing watching Jets football right now. Still, this doesn't show anything about Ravens, does it? I don't know what the Ravens are this year. They're just taking advantage of a really shoddy schedule to get back into the playoffs. I still don't think they're that great, but we'll see.
Can they win enough games to get in and get themselves right by them? Because Lamar last year was one of the best passers in the NFL and best runners. If he can get fit, it's still in there, and the rest of the team is fine. The fact that they can win games when Lamar is playing this badly should give them cause for confidence that they can do something later on, as long as Lamar doesn't hurt himself between now and then. But right now, they're going to get blown away in the playoffs.
How weird would it be? No Chiefs or Ravens in the playoffs on the AFC side.
That'd be so funny.
True.
And maybe
Ravens
no Bills. What?
Yeah. True, yeah. Ravens are currently in because obviously they're winning the AFC North, as everyone would have predicted.
That's why the Bengals still have a chance, somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Right. Next one. In the shit-off, the Browns beat the Raiders 24-10. Shadur Sanders' first start. He's the starter again next week, even though Dylan Gabriel was fit to play. Sanders 11 of 20 for 209, a touchdown and a pick. Had an absolutely beautiful throw to, was it Bond? Isaiah Bond?
Yeah, Isaiah Bond. Yeah.
Absolute stunner. Much better than last week, where he was 4 for 16, I think. But, I mean, Quinton Judkins is him. And I'll tell you what, Gino had a better game, but you can't suffer 10 sacks in a game and win, I'm sorry. Oh, also, Jerry Jeudy, get the fuck out the league. What are you doing? That fumble he had because he was inbounds and basically just stopped playing. Like, I'm surprised he's not fired already.
Yeah. Junkins is him. Whoever that stupid fan I saw on Twitter today saying that, oh yeah, Myles Garrett's got good stats, but he's not better than TJ Watt, can go fuck off. And yes, this is the shit off when the Browns posted a 1% success rate on offense and the Raiders posted a 7% success rate. Jesus Christ. Bloody hell. Like, the Raiders had a 20% negative play rate, with 1 in 5 of their plays is like a negative play. Fuck me.
You know, petition to have Myles Garrett's sacks removed from the record, because this was ultimate stat padding against a line that just didn't give a fuck. Like, he's just loading up against opposition that don't care. At this point, it feels like they shouldn't count. But between this and between watching this and the Saints in that late slate, how they ever got in the late slate, I do not know. If you offered me to watch this game again, the Saints game again, or a 10-hour reel of Will Harris film, I would watch a 10-hour reel of Will Harris film, because those two games were so shite that I would rather gouge my own eyes out and watch him than have to watch either of those games again. It's a mockery with 7 weeks left in the season that we are reduced to watching games like this between two no-hopers who just literally do not care, really. It's disgrace. And how they got in the late slate, I don't know.
Oh dear. Okay. I'll raise you 10 hours of Trey Flowers highlight reel. How about that?
You couldn't make 10 seconds, let alone 10 hours. What are you going to make 10 hours of Trey Flowers highlights?
He had two.
Oh, in fact, no, I know what you could do. You could probably go back to his college days. We can do
No.
that. Not NFL.
No. I'm going to put you in absolute hell. He had 2 sacks in 2020. I'm just going to play them on repeat for 10 hours.
No, I'd still watch Will Harris.
Oh, okay. Good for Will. Right, next game.
Someone's got to do it.
The Jaguars over the Cardinals 27-24. Trevor Lawrence had the Jameis Winston of all Jameis Winston games. 18 of 30 for 256, 3 touchdowns, 3 horrific picks, but still managed to get the win here. Arizona went for 2.5 yards a carry, including Brissett going for 3 for 20. You take away Brissett's yards, they went 17 carries for 35 yards. So bad. The one bright spark for the Cardinals is a first touchdown for Walter Nolan, was it not? It was a touchdown, wasn't it? I'm sure it was. Yeah, so fantastic for him. His first touchdown since high school, I think it was, which is great. Jacksonville continuing, I think it's fair to say, to get propped up by their special teams. Parker Washington is absolutely brilliant. But Trevor Lawrence is on his way to getting traded, if not cut at this rate, because he's not the guy. In fact, when I say Jameis Winston of all Jameis Winston games, he is literally following the Jameis Winston path right now, because is he actually good enough to be paid? I think the answer is decisively no at this point.
Yeah. Definitely. Obviously, it's hard because just going back to Arizona rushing stats, that's including Michael Carter going for 5.6 yards a carry, five carries for 28 yards. You take that away, you've got former Detroit Lion Bam Knight going for 1.2 yards a carry and a touchdown with a longer 6. So that means on his other 9 carries, he got 3 yards. 6 yards, sorry. Mad.
How many rushing yards do you say the Cards had without Brissett?
They had 17 carries for 35 yards.
God, Bennett.
And
Florida State had more muff punt yards than Arizona.
Fuck you.
Ding!
Ding!
They did. The first one went about 35 yards. The second one went a couple. You're gonna hit the king, you better kill the king.
Was that the one where it hit the helmet?
Yeah, it went about 30 yards, back right to the punter.
It would have been
literally where he punted it from.
Yeah, he fucking did.
And then Ash's reward for that was having to realise that his head coach is coming back next year. I actually felt
we
sorry
can't
for
afford
him.
to fucking fire him. And I love how they finally worked out in year 6 that recruiting is a problem with him. I've given up. I'm whatever that Rio Valley Grande Caros bloody team is. I'm a supporter of them now. Go there. Fuck FSU.
Retaining the head coach has changed what FSU stands for. They're fucking shit up.
Yes.
They are.
Yeah. The entire FSU media has just turned. They don't give a shit anymore. But the AD supposedly applying for other jobs, so he's fucking gone.
Awful. Right.
At least the basketball team's good.
Let's talk about something equally hilarious. The Eagles fall to the Dallas Cowboys 24-21, having been 21-0 up 20 minutes into the game. And they go 40 scoreless minutes, including the Dallas Cowboys throwing a pick from the 2-yard line in that stretch. Jalen Hurts had one of his most productive performances of the season. 27 of 39 for 289, a touchdown, no picks. He also had 7 for 33 and 2 on the ground. Saquon Barkley's stat line does not make for pretty reading, at least in the running game. 10 for 22. Yikes. On the other hand, Dak, 23 of 36 for 354, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Javonte Williams is still doing things on the ground, 20 for 87. Dak also got a touchdown on the ground. George Pickens has more receiving yards than the entire Pittsburgh wide receiver core this season, which is incredible. He was 9 of 9 for 146 and a touchdown, which is just outrageous. I have no love for the Cowboys. No Lions fan does. But this was an objectively funny game and a crash down to earth for an Eagles team that felt like they were going to shithouse their way to a NFC Championship by being objectively bad on offense and just about getting by on defense. Well, they couldn't fucking keep it up. That second half stuff that Ant was talking about last week, absolutely fucking destroyed.
Mm-hmm. And you didn't even mention the best thing about it.
Superman. Reed Blankenship's interception.
Oh no, I was thinking this week even better than that. I was thinking something even better than
No.
that.
The only thing we need to talk about in this game is Reed Blankenship's interception. Superman.
No, we have a reputation to uphold, so I must mention that the Dallas Cowboys long snapper recovered a fumble.
I thought you were going to talk for some reason about Brevin Spanford because you seem to absolutely love that guy in the draft process for no good fucking reason. But he scored a receiving touchdown.
Show some respect to the man. That is a golden gopher you're talking about there. I will have no disrespect to mile markers gophers in this forum, thank you.
He's not good.
I mean, he's got several touchdown catches this year, doesn't he? They're using him. He's a red zone threat, which is what he was brought in for.
He has, this season, 1 touchdown. That was his first touchdown of the season. He's had...
There are 6 billion people on this planet who don't have a touchdown in the NFL this year, so, you know. There you go.
Fair enough. Anything else on this game before we move on? No. All right.
Are we worried about the Cowboys?
I do think that division is still alive. I think the Eagles are playing badly enough that at 5-5-1, the Cowboys can still come back into it, especially now they've got a win on the board against the Eagles. I'm not worried about the Cowboys as a team, but I do think they can win that division.
I mean, when we play them, are we worried about them?
Oh, no. No. I mean, the only thing I'm worried about is that James Houston might win them the game, and that would make me sad.
Why do you have to be the way that you are?
I mean, I can say that about all
You're
of us at some
saying that
point.
ironically, and you know damn well you are.
No, I'm not. He's been their sack leader this season. I'm saying it absolutely legitimately. I am worried that James Houston will actually perform well against us, and I will be sad that we let him go. I mean that. I'm not playing. Eagles' remaining schedule is versus Bears, at Chargers, versus Raiders, at Washington, at Buffalo, versus Washington. So they've got 2 Washington games and Las Vegas. Okay, this division is dead. Sorry. That's not turning around. Okay, so Cowboys...
I hope the one good thing from this game is that the Eagles are now going to absolutely take out every single bit of frustration they've got on the Bears. That is the one redeeming feature from this game, possibly, that might benefit us. And plus, they still need to win now, because Dallas are within striking distance of them.
Duncan Stewart is saying, we have Dallas, ? Yes, we have Thursday night football after Thanksgiving against Dallas.
As Jeremy rightly said, 3 of our last 6 games are on Thursday. Lots of Thursdays.
Amazon Prime games, woo.
Well, isn't one of them a Netflix game?
Oh, is it?
The Christmas
Christmas,
one, the
yeah.
Netflix one.
Yeah.
Fun.
Netflix and chill. Who the hell do we even play for that one?
Minnesota.
Oh, we might see some. Yeah. We might see some scenes not suitable for people below 18 in that one. We need that one back.
Next game up here is the Falcons win over the Saints 24-10. The Saints entered for the first time this season as favourites and promptly shat the bed. Kirk Cousins 16-23, 199, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Didn't set the world alight, but considering how much people were willing to jump on the bandwagon of Kirk being absolutely shit and not caring whether he wins or loses, he turned up and delivered a win. It's still the NFL. And you know what? Saints have been scaring some teams and absolutely did not in this game at home in a game they were favoured in.
And the best part is Kirk, being the benevolent guy he is, threw more touchdown passes to Saints players than their own quarterback did.
Yep.
Isn't he just a top guy?
What a guy. Yeah. Anything else?
I mean,
nice
it was awful.
I mean, my guy Dylan Drummond got some play for the Falcons, got caught a couple of catches. Nice to see him sticking around after I loved him. But also, sad that Kamara got hurt because it tanks one of my fantasy teams. Like the absolute cunt he is.
Finally, we got Sunday Night Football. Rams beat the Buccaneers 34-7. You saw Baker Mayfield get an AC joint sprain in his left shoulder, which he obviously has had before. They think he might be able to play through it and play this coming weekend, but no.
He's having the MRI today, but suggests the reports are that they won't play him on Sunday.
Really, this puts Carolina in position to win that division, because without Baker, I struggle to see how the Buccaneers are going to win anything. Teddy came in relief and struggles with the mobility in the pocket, which you kind of need, especially with Tampa Bay having injuries on the offensive line. You really, really need the running back because Sean Tucker and Rashad White are not it. But Stafford was at his best. I think he should now be the MVP favourite. Mm-hmm. The way the Rams have played at 9-2 and the best team in the division, in the nation. And then, how about Devontae Adams looking like peak Devontae Adams? I'm kind of here for it. I mean, after having watched him play for Green Bay all this time and fucking hating it, as much as I'm not a massive fan of the Rams, it's great to see someone just good at football find their way back, and Stafford's kind of enabling him to do that. Puka was awesome too. This wasn't a particularly fair game, but you know what? This game was lost long before Baker went out.
Yeah. It's, again, a lot of red on their side of things for those stats. Though Scrum BP was a bit bigger. Was a bit higher than it usually is. But, yeah, just the Rams have found a passing version of the tush push, it seems. They get inside the 5. Stafford to Devontae Adams is almost as sure as the tush push is. It's insane. And, yeah, rightly so. Stafford should be the MVP frontrunner. And if he gets it, does that give him the push to finally get into the Hall of Fame?
He needs a second one. He needs a second Super Bowl.
I do think an MVP would potentially push him into the probably rather than maybe for Hall of Fame right now. He is, by the way, 2-1 on to be MVP now, which puts him at an implied odds of 67%.
It's, again, we're gonna get really angry about how the Rams won a Super Bowl, reset, and then look closer to the Super Bowl than we do already. Like, the way they've built that roster again, losing Aaron Donald, losing some of your big bits on there, like the way they've drafted on that defensive line is incredible. Like, you went up and got Jared High, your mid-round hits like Kobe Turner, like that looks inspired now. He's starting to flourish as a pass rusher. Like, you've just done such a good job rebuilding that team to the point where this is where I'm like, there's no excuse for us. They literally got rid of so many of their best players and they've rebuilt this team up already and they're good to go and they look like the best team in the NFC. Like, where's the weakness on that team? The run game, it's great. Well, it's above average. It's got an MVP caliber quarterback, which is all you need. It's got 2 fantastic pass catchers. Offensive line's decent. Then you've got a fearsome defensive line and a good defense overall. So it's hard to see the weaknesses there. Like, I'm incredibly worried when we play them in a couple of weeks. Like,
yeah.
they could absolutely kick our ass.
Oh, they're going to blow us away. They're going to absolutely blow us away. And the thing is, you can draft like that all you want. When you pick people up like Emmanuel Forbes getting jettisoned as a first-round pick, and they've made him look like a superstar again. He's been terrific.
This is why, folks, we give rookies a good amount of time before we write them off. Everybody was like, oh, he's paper thin, he's terrible. Fine. The right system and any player can look good, and he does. It's true elite roster building from them.
We have missed the most important part of this game, by the way, which is that Harrison Mevis got his first points in the NFL and looked bloody good doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Needed like it. Right. That's all of the games. So, anything else you want to say before we sign off here?
FTP.
Come on, Carolina. My upset of the week is tonight. the Panthers to beat the 49ers. Let's do it. Plus, I believe that puts us back in the playoffs then. So if the 49ers lose.
We do have some breaking news. We are going to be wearing the throwbacks on Thursday.
Fun.
Which ones are they?
The plain silver helmets, etc. You're the ones we traditionally wore on Thanksgiving, but we didn't wear last year.
Yeah.
Yay.
People take the uniform stuff way too seriously. The uniforms, deal with it.
And with that insult to half the fan base was time to end. Again, we'll be back for Green Bay preview tomorrow. College football podcast probably Wednesday.
Will be Wednesday, yeah.
And then Thanksgiving we're not live for, but we'll be recapping it Friday or Saturday before NFL Sunday. Hope everybody has a great week. We'll see you tomorrow for the Packers preview. Thank you for listening. Let's go, Lions. One Pride.
One Pride.